Hey, how are y'all? So, this live, we are going to be discussing the documentary called Mirror Mirror from 1996, starring Consuela Cosmetic. It is a documentary about a trans woman. Mm, I use trans woman loosely. This is this is this is somebody from the she was born in 1956. So the language that we use today might not fit. Um, the definitions of things might not fit some of the people from back in the day. So I'm going to say trans woman because of the similarity of experience. And yeah, so a trans person from the documentary follows the last year of her life and, you know, talks about so many things. So we're going to discuss it and hopefully you join into the conversation. Hey, everybody. Hey, Brandon. Hey, Gigi. Yes, 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 yes. I hope y'all checked it out. I tried to post it for y'all so y'all can watch it and see in the community tab if you are a subscriber earlier this week so y'all can know that we were going to talk about it. Did you watch it, Brandon? Hey, hey, Ty. Give folks a chance to come on in. Come on in the room. Hey, Shay. Did y'all enjoy it? I really enjoyed it. It really was good. Oh, good. Yes. I think that's what I loved about it. I did. Where did you find this documentary? Somebody sent it to me, and then I sent it to my friend Ty, and spent an hour or so talking about it. Um, it's so good. I think the rawness is what I loved about it. Yeah, the rawness is what I loved about it. Somebody sent it. Um, I had seen clips of it. Like I had seen clips, like different little clips of it, but I hadn't seen the whole full thing. Like I had, on certain little platforms, you see video clips of certain parts of different things, and you don't know where it's from, and so that's how I had seen certain clips, but I hadn't watched the full documentary. Hey, Miss Polk, how are you? How are you healing? Mm, definitely. Hey, Marissa, how are you? So it starts off really. It starts off really raw. Thank you, Miss Polk. It starts off really raw, and she is taking a shower. Hey, bougie, she is taking a shower, honey. So it definitely, instead of it being, we reveal the transness through the conversation. If you didn't know she was trans by looking at her, you definitely got to see a full body nude of a trans woman. of a trans person. Um, good, 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 good. They dropping the tank. Oh, that's wonderful. Thanks for checking. No problem. Yeah, they're gonna be loved once they drop fully, honey. Um, oh, and Miss Coco. Oh, hey, Miss Coco. You change your name. So it starts off with her sitting. They have it the portion. This one is kind of into this one. This there's certain scenes in the documentary where she is in black and white and she's kind of laid up in the bed, kind of laid back. One of these. Let me pause it. This one of the from this picture, y'all can see it. Yeah, that. Those scenes, if you that remind it reminds me of um like old movie starlet pictures. Like that being in black and white and her just laid up in the bed. And it just reminds me of like, I don't know, like old starlet pictures, old movies and old like further back, like 50s, 40, 50s, 60s, maybe even 30s, like Mae West era. So Mae West is like the 30s, 30 something. But it reminds me of those pictures when it's black and white in that era, and she's just chilling there with her hair, and the light is shining on her head, and it's giving you a dark shadow, like the just the vibe. It reminds me of like an old glamour picture. I loved it. I loved it. Love that. I don't know if that was intentional, but that's what it was given. It was given um like an old glamour pic. Um so it starts off by you kind of introduced to her. The main character is boudoir shot, yes. The main character is Consuela Cosmetic. She is a drag queen, a self-proclaimed drag queen. Sometimes I'm gonna say trans woman, trans person, or whatever through this. Like I said, language from this era compared to back in the day is gonna be a little bit different. Um, but the reason why I identify her as a trans woman because this is a person from about 2 or 3 generations older than me. So she was born in 56, and which is about 10 years, 8 years older than my mother, and about 8 years younger than my grandmother. So my grandmother was born in 48 and my mom was born in 90 in 65. So she's right smack dab in the middle of my mother and grandmother. So, so about 2 generations, 2 or 3, depending on how many you count for. She's in that generation. And from that generation of trans women in this video, in this documentary, she's 40. And so she is, you know what I'm saying? She is my age now, literally my age now in that documentary. So in when we think about women from that era, if you are young, you in the queer community, the nuances and the lines between a female figure and a butch queen were really, really blurred. You could have a gay mother that's not even a woman. So there's a lot of not even like Pepper LaBeija. She's the house mother of LaBeija, but a woman, what we would consider a trans woman now, well, maybe not so much. You feel what I'm saying? But back then, you get what I'm saying? The lines were blurred. It wouldn't be a surprise for somebody to have a gay mother that was just a femme butch queen. Okay, um, that might get up and geesh every blue moon whenever they feel it. So the lines was really, really blurred. One of the reasons why the lines were blurred because people of an older generation, where we are right now in the culture is nowhere near where they thought. Like they couldn't even fathom where we are right now. You feel what I'm saying? Um, and so there is a seriousness about your, I don't want to say a seriousness. I don't know if that's the right language, but um, I think as we get further into when you get to the generation of how can I say this without being problematic? Um, if you grew up in maybe the 90s and the 2000s, like say you grew up like you transitions in that those 2 decades, like the 90s and the early 2000s. I think that because we were very adamant about being taken seriously about our gender, we were really adamant about it not being about it not being a game and playing in and out of drag. It was really important for us to be taken seriously, and I think that those type of rules, not only could we move through the world a little bit easier because of the foundation that they had laid, um, but I think getting up in and out of drag back then, it was a little bit more lax because sometimes they had to fucking detransition to even survive. Like it would be nothing for somebody to be living their life as full time in their womanhood. I don't want to say full time, but part time in their womanhood, but then going to work at a cosmetic counter or a boutique or um, Berndorf's, Bordorf or whatever you pronounce it, some Nordstrom's or somewhere fancy as a boy, because this is what's paying the fucking bills. But then when I get off, I go be the girl that I want to be all the time when I'm off work. But just so I can survive, I gotta get up out of geesh and go make this money so I can pay the bills that I have. There are some people who I remember when I moved to Mississippi. It when I first moved to Mississippi um, in 1999, and I met girls who were um, not full time. Now, me being a teenager, I was 18. Me being a teenager, out of transitioning really early, really being in community really, really early, and coming from a city. Not that Indianapolis is a big ass city, but it's a city. And there were girls who were full time. There were trans women out and doing things, and clerks at makeup counters and different things that they were doing. So there were girls who were actually living full time. So there were examples, and actually was you getting in and out of transition was actually looked down on. Like, oh, you girl, that's a butch queen child. You get what I'm saying? It was very, very um for the girls coming up in my era. It was looked down on for you to be back and forth and part time. It was actually important for you to be full time. It was like a badge of honor. Similar to, I guess, getting a sex change would be. Do you see what I'm saying? Like a badge of honor. Like, ooh, this is the next. This is serious or whatever. And so being full time was the proof in our era that you were serious about your identity instead of playing. When you, honey, you getting up out of geesh, girl, you playing. Oh, girl. Okay. And so when I would when I moved to Mississippi, there was people that were not living full time, and I was very judgmental, but I also saw around me totally different culture where there were no girls living a normal woman's life with jobs. They were not being hired. They could not live without getting in and out. So it reminded me of the old days. In my when I was younger, it reminded me of what I thought the old days was like in the 80s and the 70s. And I had met trans women from the 80s and the 70s when I was a teenager. So and they would tell me how it used to be. How you had to go, sometimes you had to get in and out of gates. Even one of my friends, I talked about this on my very first episode of March of Play. One of my dad's old friends was trans and her name was Rochelle. And she was fucking gorgeous. But she said, but when I met her, she had detransitioned. I never had met her in person as a trans woman, but she was a butch queen, an older butch queen when I met her. And so when I met her through my mother, she said like every time I would find a job, butch queens would call my job and tell my tea, and I would get fired. Or she'll look like Pam Grier. She did. She was fucking gorgeous. But she said every time that she would get a job, because she was so passable, she just was right. And she says every time I would get a job, butch queens would tell my tea. And I would be on the job for 3, 4 months. But as soon as somebody knew that where I worked, they would call and spill it. And we know that's a real true story because it happened to Tracy Africa. That's a part of her legend. Somebody telling her tea to Essence when she was doing a photo shoot for Essence, and Susan Taylor, the one with the cornrows. Y'all remember her? If you're from my era, Essence used to have a editor in chief with the cornrows and the beads on the bottom. That was Susan Taylor, but this is before she became that big position. She was I guess she was, you could think of her as the Grace Coddington of Essence. Grace Coddington is for Vogue, the white lady with the red hair. Um, she would be the equivalent to that. And so before she became the editor in chief, she was working. She was a not a lowly person, but she was doing photo shoots. And Tracy Africa was one of them. And one of the Butch Queens spilled their tea, spilled Tracy Africa's tea, and they shut the whole shoot down. But anyway, this is what Rochelle told me what happened to so many girls when she was younger. So in order for her to survive, she had to detransition. And she says by the time things got a little bit more free, honey, she was old man. She was like, I was already an older, mature man, and I didn't have I just didn't have it anymore. The fight in me no more. And I was like, wow. And so when I went to Mississippi, it was feeling like that. So back to the movie. So when I think about this time and Consuela and Cosmetica, this is the type of girl that I remember. I remember um, girls who were not invested in. It's hard to say they weren't invested in being a woman because they wouldn't go through all the pain and the surgery and honey, the black market pain and shit that they go through to be a woman. But I don't think they had the language like we do. I don't think they had the support or the language to be invested in the same way that we are invested in it. Does that make sense? Like they didn't have the language, the medical support. They didn't have the things that we have now to support us outside of ourselves. Because I think it's a different kind of confidence that you have when you are a trans person and it's just you. You get what I'm saying? It's just you. Think about if you grew up in the 50s or the 40s. Think about Polly Murray, who grew up in the 40s and the 50s. And in your mind, you like, I know that there's something in me that's different than everybody else. I know that I'm supposed to be this way. And there's no way for me to explain it to you. And then the people that you're explaining it to is like, you're crazy. We need to put you in a mental hospital if you think you're supposed to be a girl or if you think you're supposed to be a boy. Your brain is crazy. Not saying that people don't think like that now, but I'm talking about the difference is now there are people who have invested their careers improving some of the stuff that we say that we have been saying on a scientific level and on a social level. And so we have the books and the science and the academia to support what we are. And so that gives you a certain level of confidence. It gives you a certain level of power. Um, it's just something that, just it gives you, yeah, it gives you more confidence. It gives you more, it makes you, to me, it makes you more steadfast in what you're talking about. Well, that's why I push these newer girls to be strong because they don't realize how challenging they used to be. Amen. This isn't a road for the weak. We need to remember the road that was walked before us. I met people who still think like that. Absolutely. So you meet people from an era, and if you meet them, I hate to call them relics, but that's what in my mind. I don't know why in my brain it registered as a relic. When I think about if you meet these girls in person, you will see what I'm talking about. Um, Miss Majors one. Um, it's Cookie Miss Drivers. I do. Miss Drivers. They used to be downtown by the park. I remember her. She passed away not too much, not too long before Mario passed away. Hey Queen, Miss Angela, how are you? Um, so it just was a different time. So when we see her, she's she's going to work, she's planning, she's at a birthday party of hers at the club. And what's really, really amazing about this particular scene in the documentary is there are some cultural juggernauts in this scene, in this film that were young in this film. When we think about Amelia Black was fucking young in that film. When we think about Hector Extravaganza, um, yeah, it's like I was like, whoa. I was so surprised that I had never watched it all the way through. I had just seen clips. I must have just didn't look for it, or I don't know why. I don't know why I hadn't seen it. Um, but that was amazing what was going on in that. And then it gives you idea. It just reminded me of old drag, just old drag. That kind of classic, those kind of classic numbers where you still had where it was unacceptable for you not to know your words. You knew the words to your numbers. Um, there was a presence. It was I don't know. The old drag girls had something, had a je ne sais quoi that that they could stand on the stage and keep your attention without all the theatrics. Um, what else? What else? What else? What else? What else was interesting about? Definitely dark. Hmm. Definitely dark. So, they have a conversation about her will, but it wasn't a will that they were doing. What they were doing was deciding what would happen if she goes into like a coma, or if she goes into a situation where she's on a machine to live. It wasn't a will that they were discussing. It was, what does she want to do if something, because that was a possibility when you are, you got a compromised immune system, and you got AIDS, and it goes further and further. Things, assisting the power of attorney, yes. Um, Things can get ugly. There could be a situation where whatever, like, only thing that's keeping me alive is this machine. And so somebody has to um have that power. It was so good to see young Hector Extravaganza. Yes. It's so good for somebody to have that power. But it also, in that moment, it shows the power of your chosen family. Because some people in this era, honey, they moved away. They moved to New York. They moved to San Francisco. They moved to New Orleans. They moved to these queer meccas, and never talk to their family again. Like it wasn't like now where there's still people who do that, who live and don't talk to their family, especially depending on how religious their family is, how you know homophobic or transphobic their family is. There's still people who live that. Honey, I'm leaving. I'm never gonna talk to you again. It's less common nowadays, but back then it was way more common for somebody to be like, yo, I haven't seen my mother in blah 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 in decades, and I haven't seen her since she's put me out of the house. And so your your chosen family, your friends and family are the people who are your fucking closest people. This scenes reminds me of the importance of having those documents in order, especially with the persistent state of the queer rights. Absolutely. Recently, y'all know my gay son passed away, and we were all ready to pay for his funeral. And his mother, being the homophobe that she is, she texted us probably like a couple of days after we were supposed to, you know, make up the arrangements. She started ignoring us. And like a couple of days after that, she sent us a message saying she just cremated him because she didn't want to have to deal with his little friends. And she didn't want to deal with his little friends. And she just wanted to grieve her son in peace. And so he hadn't talked to her in years, because in the past, 10 years, my gay son has been living with me off and on. Me or his other friend. He hasn't been fucking with her because she is a Looney Tune. She is homophobic, shady, um, and don't fucking look out for him. Just a shady ass bitch. And so because you know, he wasn't talking to her. And so the people who were in his life, who would care about if he passed away. And this is not saying that that's his mama. Do I think she cared and has feelings about her son passing? Absolutely. I don't think she was that late to where she didn't care about him. Um, I think I don't want to say this with every mother, but I think her just carrying your child and taking care of your child, even kind of shady ass mamas, they still love their child. And it's not that I don't think she loved her child, but she has always been a selfish bitch. And so she made this about her and not about the people who actually was in his life and cared about him, or made or and not that she didn't need to make it about her, but make room for the rest of us. Like, okay, you don't have the money to do it. You don't. let us step in and do it for us. You can be in peace for yourself and do your thing, but you can let us, his friends who loved him in his life, take care of him. But because he didn't have his affairs in order, didn't have insurance, didn't have, none of the things in place, because first of all, he was only 37. Not saying that that's super young, but I don't think he prepared to die. You see what I'm saying? Um, which I think you should. Um, so, but nothing was in order. So there was literally nothing we could do but accept the fact that she cremated our friend and there's nothing that we can do. Now, of course, we're gonna go celebrate, but not celebrate his death, but um do something in honor of his death, celebrate his life, um, and us care for him. But that that scene in in the documentary, it was her taking care of that. But also, it was so normal in that time with people because we have come a long way medically when it comes to HIV and AIDS. All a long way medically. It's literally we're at a place where somebody who is HIV positive, if they're on their meds, they are undetectable and cannot pass the disease to anybody. That is way different. That is a way different place than what was happening in the late 80s, early 90s, where medicines weren't working. It was kind of a crapshoot. Um, Nobody knew what the fuck was going on. The the government was being fucking stupid. The government is always stupid, right? The government was being stupid. Um, the fucking religious motherfuckers was being stupid. Cardinals were saying homophobic bullshit, blaming it on gays and letting people just die and not giving a fuck about them. And so there was a community building aspect, which kind of played out on polls. If you notice polls, like people sharing medications and just people, just kind of a whole community of things happening, that was a norm. And so assigning who was going to be your power attorney was a part of the norm. If you knew that you were positive and you knew that this may be the inevitable that's coming, you gotta take care of it. So it wasn't that normal for a bitch to be doing that. Um, what other part did I see? What was quite interesting was this movie was so nostalgic for me because I come I came out in 94, 95, 90, 96. Those that area is when I came out. So this was in 96. So I came out about a couple of years before. And all these things that she was talking about and doing, it all brought me back. Like her calling people to come to the pump party to get pumped by Michelle. I know Michelle. The like these people that you're naming, like I'm like, oh my God, like this is an era that I remember. Her calling, even the language that she used when she's talking to the girls on the phone, and getting them excited, being this saleswoman about how she's she's gonna give you so much. She's gonna um, she's gonna take care of you. All you got to do is bring this amount. Um, you get what I'm saying? Just really, really, yeah, selling her work. Like really, because she knows that she's gonna get something out of the deal. If she brings a bunch of girls to get pumped, she's gonna get her body work for free. So pump parties, that whole era of was super, super nostalgic. And then when she described um getting pumped when she described the process of it, and you know what I'm saying, described it perfectly, exactly how. Um, it's a documentary from 1996 called Mirror Mirror. So if you Google um, Mirror Mirror 1996, and it'll pull up a documentary, and it will. It's a free version on Vimeo, and so she talks about just describing getting pumped, and it is exactly it is exactly. Um, oh, thank you, Brandon. Um, oh, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Um, I thought that that was. It just it reminded me of how fucking crazy that I was as a child. As a me and my sisters, we laugh. We say trannies live on the edge, and it's just the craziness of wanting that advancement, wanting that um, just it's hard to explain. And looking back on it, I can say, oh, this is crazy and da 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 da. But as a young person, um, I think for me to explain, because most motherfuckers would be like, why would you do that? Why would you take this risk? Or what da, 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 da. The best way that I can describe it is I didn't know enough. If I knew what I knew now, I would be more wary. But when I was younger, I didn't know anybody who had died. I didn't see anybody who was deformed. I didn't see any of the negative that I have seen through my life now. Do you see what I'm saying? if I was I think if I knew then, it would be more scary. I'm a vain ass bitch. Do you see? At first, I'm honey. I think I look sickening. So I would have been worried about not looking sickening because I've seen so many bad experiences. But when I was younger, I hadn't seen any. All the girls who I saw look sickening. It was where we were from. The girls who I knew that had it all looked good. It wasn't any kind of deformities or it just wasn't that. I don't remember anybody having like bad work. Nobody. I'm trying to think of anybody. Yeah, I just didn't see anybody that had bad work. And so it wasn't anything to worry about. It wasn't like it wasn't, oh, it's just what we do. And so I feel like as a youngster, if I knew what I knew now, it would be stupid. But because I was in the dark about things, I just took the risk, trusting the process. Oh, Brandon had put it in the chat too for anybody who may be watching this later on. I don't even think it was crazy then. It was a normal anomaly. It was known to do this. Sure, we were in the basement of a club getting it, but it didn't seem like I should worry. Um, the first time I did it, I wasn't in the basement of a club. Um, I was um, I was in a sickening ass house, and it wasn't a mansion, but it was a sickening ass house. Um, and she had all this stuff that looked legit. She had all this stuff that looked legit. It was, you get what I'm saying? It was, you know, it's like, oh. So I think the next time I had done it, when I was doing it somewhere where I was like, why am I doing it here? I was already comfortable. And I think in that era, Ty, honey, we was getting hormone shots in the bathroom, in the stall in the bathroom. Remember when Mocha would give us a shot for honey, $20 and take us to the bathroom and put the hormones in us in our booty in the um in the bathroom stall of the gay club. $20 a pop, baby. You get your hormone shot. Come every 2 weeks. Like clockwork. Come on, baby, with your $20. Come on, baby. All right. Alcohol pad. All right, baby. Covered up in my savor, I never seen the negatives of the girls close to home, and I was exposed to the horror stories on the internet, which scared me. Yeah, we didn't have the internet, honey. The internet didn't get popping to like 99, 2000. And even then, early 99, 2000, it was it was a certain class of people that had a coin enough to get, um, the internet. Internet didn't get to everybody till shit, what? Oh 03, oh 04, where it was just common. I think it was it started to be common in where I was from in like oh 03 in homes. Hmm. In-house pharmacy, yes. That y'all was spoiled, CL honey. That was later on. When the internet came, baby, you had access to everything. Y'all was spoiled. I remember getting those LL disc in the mail dial up. Yeah, back in the day, we had to get it from the girls who was getting meds, honey. Some girls, you know what I'm saying? Some girls was getting hormones from the doctor, and if they had too much, they'll sell you a vial, or they'll go to Mexico and get you. This was, honey. First of all, the '80s and the '90s was a time, honey. First of all, yeah, honey. We used to go to Texas. This is before I lived in Texas. We used to go to Texas, honey, get 6 fake IDs with your different names so you can write checks. The stunting was beautiful. Well, the stunting was beautiful in the early 2000s too, but definitely, and you can be a rich bitch from stunting in the '80s and the '90s. I know bitches who bought houses and shit, busting stunts out, honey. So, woo, it used to be beautiful. It used to be a beautiful time. Ah, internet only was for posting ads and checking Black Planet early 2000s. And honey, Napster and stealing music. um, yeah, it just was a different era. So then what other parts that was super, super interesting? So the getting pumped thing, then the client tease. Oh, no. Before it gets to the client tease, it talks about the trade, okay? Which was quite interesting because it felt like every older girl had an older piece of trade that was on drugs. When I was younger, it felt like every older girl had an older piece of trade that everybody knew was a chaser that that was on drugs, that was a crackhead or usually a crackhead. And so seeing that, that's what it reminded me of. And I think I don't I didn't have I didn't have that issue. I was spared from that. I had trade, but um not like that. I was just a whole different girl in that sense. And I think our generation, not saying that all of them didn't have something like that, but most of us didn't have. I don't remember us in those kind of situations. It was like the generation before us and before that. We had trade, but just having a whole crackhead trade, that wasn't hot. That was not hot. That was not prestigious. The girls really didn't do that. Having some street boy that's a dope fiend, that wasn't really hot. It's how you pick your trade as well. Her trade was an Italian crackhead, I think. Yeah, he was. Old trade still clinging on honey. Yes, having them shitty. That grinder beat is real. Yeah, so that was really really interesting, and how I'm gonna get academic again. But y'all remember I told y'all about Dr. Joy Jane from the Williamson College. She did this paper called "The Captive Maternal," and the captive maternal is kind of, it's a gender neutral term. I know it says maternal, but it's a gender neutral term, and it's about um, a captive maternal person is a person who is stuck in like stuck in the low economic levels, like poverty levels, but they are savvy enough to survive and keep people around them afloat. It's deeper than what I'm explaining, but she goes into deeper. But that's what it is. It's people who are captive maternal, or people who are the in poverty too, being harmed by capitalistic exploitation, being harmed by all the oppression. So they're still on a low level too, but they are helping other people stay afloat. And that's what that reminded me of. It reminded me of her being his peace when he needed peace. Yes, I can go out and be in the streets and get stabbed and do da, 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 but I know I can come to you and do. And it's not just, there are some men who will use you for the sexual fantasy, but also use you for but there are some that will not only use you for that, but also use you as a fucking therapist. You're a therapist too because you know everything. They can't do that with other people in their lives because other people in their lives, any they don't know all of them. But with us, we know everything. And so they can we are their therapist. We're the closest thing to a therapist, especially if we don't have the same issues as them. Like if we crackheads and we got, all kinds of shit going on with us, we might not be able to be that for them. But if we got a head on our shoulders and we out here surviving and hustling, da 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 da, we are in a position where they will use us as their therapy. Dr. Mommy Wife, yes. And whore. Dr. Mommy Wife whore. So I get to do all my freaky nasty things without being ashamed with you. I can lay up and cuddle with you because you want to be laid up and cuddle with. You are bereft of intimacy too. You want to be loved on. You wanted to want me to treat you like a woman, treat you like fish, cuddle you, all this kind of stuff. I can do all of that and then go about my business. And it's okay because you are going to understand that the world won't let us do this. The world, especially back then, like it's different now. Now, now we can be like, you know, uh, I'm I'm never gonna be with a man that's on the down low, that can't be with me in public. But the options were so slim back then. That was not a norm. So, honey, it might be a little bit more desperate. You might be a little bit more desperate for that kind of affection. Also, their teacher if they aren't educated. That's fucking true. I done help niggas study for their GED many a times. That's fucking true. Literally tutoring motherfuckers for their GED. I literally have been that girl. I thought that that was interesting. I thought that how she handled him, you know, b- being nice on the phone and you know just how she handled him was quite interesting. Knowing her boundaries, having her boundaries, but being nice. hmm and then the sex worker part. So that was also nostalgia. Them going through the ads. I remember the first time that I put a paper ad up. Every city had a paper. We didn't have the internet, y'all, so it was a paper that you would advertise in, and you would send them your pictures. Send them. You would have a certain number of words that you can use. They would charge you more for color. They would charge you less for if it was black and white. Um, they would split the paper in fours, or it'll be you could have a corner page. You can have a full page if you had that kind of money. Or you can have a little square. They charge for different rates, and you put your number up and your picture and your description, and they will be calling. New York had the Village Voice. Yes, New York had the Village Voice. The Village Voice was really popular. I done been in the Village Voice. Honey, you put your ad in the Village, baby, your phone don't stop ringing. Woo! Especially back then. I used to have to cut, when I would work in New York, I would have to cut my phone off. I would have to, if I wanted to sleep, I would have to cut my phone off. They would just be calling, 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 calling. You make so much fucking money in New York, but if you're a visitor, I think I can see the girls who live there making tons of money. But if you are a visitor child, you spending so much fucking money on hotels and shit, way more than average. That your shit, half your money going to fucking hotels and shit. Ugh, I hated that shit about New York. New York was love when it came to just getting clients. Because as soon as you cut your phone on, call, 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 call. But especially if you got a sickening picture up, honey, word out. But this is when it was just the paper, and they would call, 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 and you would have. Um, it was no fuck very. I don't want to say no, but very, 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 very little monetary negotiations. Like if you told them your rate was 300, they coming with your rate. If you told them your rate was 150, they coming. If you told them it was 250, they coming. Whatever you told them, they're coming with your rate. It was no, oh well, um, all I got is 60. All I got is 80. What can you do for 100? that baby, when I it just wasn't. You just didn't have to do that. Oh, you just didn't have to do that. It was just so easy, and I think because it was the novelty and it wasn't as accessible as it is now. There's honey, the waters are flooded. It used to be so finding a trans woman was so difficult. You only way you was gonna find one is if you was gonna go on the street, on the host roll, or in the paper. That is only place you can find them. And if all the girls had a similar rate, $200, $300, that's what you paid. That's what it was. But now you got free hoes on the internet. You got free hoes, like free trans hoes. Oh, I'm not an escort. I have sex for free. I won't call them dumb bitches, but honey, not getting no money, but what a judge a bitch selling it. But you being the hoe, you doing the same thing hoes is doing, getting ran through by all the niggas, but you ain't getting no money because you want to be. Oh, I could never be a escort or a sex worker. Okay, girl. That's hilarious to me. Um, um, but you have so now on the internet you got all the hoes, the free hoes on the free good girl hoes. Let's call them that. The free good girl hoes. The ones that doing hoe stuff, having sex with the trade, but not charging. So you got the access, you got them on the internet, you got them on all the apps, blah blah blah. All right. So then you got the butch queens who get up in drag just to make money because they got trans friends that they've been seeing all their life make money off the ads. So and they know they ain't got no titties and they ain't been pumped and they ain't got all the stuff that the trans girls got. So I'ma charge less. I'ma charge $100 because I ain't got all the stuff that they got. So I'ma charge less. And so if it's any other date, so they're like, I don't care what you got, as long as you got a dick. Honey, tons of competition, girl. Then you got all the real hoes, the girls who are the girls. That's all on the internet too. Then you got yeah, so it's all these options, and there's multiple ways. You got the paper, you got the internet, you got the apps, you got e-roads, you got Backpage, you got the phone line. Like, don't I used to hold on the chat line too. So it's so many options and ways to find us now that the market is flooded, and so the prices are really whack, really whack in the really whack in the sex worker world. They don't water down what it means to be a trans woman. Mm, I don't know when it comes to the game. When it comes to being in the game of sex work, I think clients water it down anyway. A lot of them, you're a step from homosexuality, and they're just exploring. A lot of them, it don't really matter. Some of them it does, but a lot of them that those labels and shit, they don't care as long as you got tits and a dick. Barely, as long as you got a wig and a dick. A wig and a broad petty set and a dick. Ah, Shyline Home was pre-internet escorted. Um, so so I thought that was interesting. So then you get into up until this point on the documentary, it was very it was raw and real. But then you get into the part where, she's talking about taking care of her body and the options for her in taking care of her body. She uh, either couldn't get the medicine or didn't like the medicine because it was like making her sick, the AZT or something like that. I can't remember exactly what she said, but she seemed like she was those type of girls who was going the holistic route and going to get tinctures and different kind of herbal medication from the botanica up the street. That kind of they're just like it's people like that now who instead of going to the regular doctors, they go into you know the more holistic route of healing their bodies. And sometimes that's kind of naive, and sometimes it's like, ooh, I don't know. So she was doing it different ways, and so I guess she wanted to get her implants out. She said the herbs was a couple of dollars. AZT was 375. Yeah, so she couldn't afford it, and so she wanted to get her implants out, and apparently they wouldn't do it. But there's a scene in there. Let me see if I can find it. There's a there's a scene that she was saying like they not gonna give you a fucking thing, and healthcare is so different now. We got especially if you in New York or if you in California, you got access to so much healthcare. Kaiser in California, um, I don't know what it's called in New York, but it's just so much healthcare. But this right here we go. The only way you get proper benefits and help is you got to go out there. You got to get it yourself. You got to lie. You got to cheat. You got to forge papers because they ain't gonna give you nothing. Because they ain't gonna give you nothing, baby. Honey, you got to cheat. You got to forge papers. And when she said that, I was like, that was fucking real. Because I'm thinking about how I got on hormones the very first time. I went to Dr. Garfield and I lied and said I was 19. And went to CVS, showed my ID, signed the papers, and woo, it was hectic. But that's what you had to do, child. That's what you had to do. And then she said that she stuck her syringe in her implants and forced them to leak. So that will force the doctors to have to take the implants out of her. Wow. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. I was like, ooh. And I'm thinking it's crazy, but you can't say it's crazy, girl, when you done sat and let somebody inject some shit in you. You feel what I'm saying? You know someone who did something similar to get castrated? Yes. Our this girl from St. Louis, she she had 911 on speed dial, and she put her body, her lower half of her body, in a tub of ice, and she took a knife and she cut her testes in the hopes, and called 911 immediately when she did it, in the hopes that to castrate herself, and they would come and help her so she wouldn't bleed out. Whew. Did it work? Yes. She she definitely got um she definitely got castrated after attempting. to castrate herself, and it kind of working, but she had to go to the hospital and be in the medical ward for a little bit. The mental medical ward, because they was like, this bitch got to be crazy if she tried to cut her own nuts off. Let's put her in the medical, the loony bin for a minute. Sexual extravaganza, yeah, he was in it. Was she happy after healing? I think so. I think she's happy. I think she's happy. Um, she had to get on some medicine to um, one of the effects of her being castrated was her equilibrium was off, so she had a lot of vertigo um, because she wasn't either she didn't have, oh she didn't she had to start taking small doses of testosterone because regardless if you male or female, you need both hormones. You need testosterone um, and estrogen. It's just at different levels for whatever sex you are. And so when you get castrated, she was off because her shit was she was still taking hormones, so she just would be hormone, estrogen, which causes first of all it causes cellulite. So if you don't want to get set, one of the causes of cellulite is having too much estrogen in your body, and it makes the elasticity of your fat cells break, which is a little info. So being having too high of a testosterone, I mean too high of estrogen, um, is whack. But also it will if your body was normal and you wasn't castrated, it actually will revert to testosterone. So don't take too many hormones. But because she was castrated, it wasn't converting like it normally would if she was not castrated, and so it was throwing her equilibrium off. So she had to start taking small doses of testosterone with her estrogen. So that's all that we talked about. And I haven't seen her in years. Child. She's stealth now, but I haven't seen her in years. No, they didn't turn into a vagina. She still had her piece. She just didn't have her cojones. So you see her in the midst, you see Consuela in the midst of having the surgery, and then she gets the implants taken out. And then we see her have these conversations. Now, this is when it gets to the were you really a trans woman or nah? Like what was this? Because she goes into this conversation that was kind of almost like a detransition conversation, but then she'll say something like, I'm still who I am, or I don't know. It was a weird conversation. But like I said, she never claimed to be a trans woman. She definitely claimed to be a drag queen. But like I said in the beginning of the video, language shifts a lot. Another interesting part of the documentary for me was she was talking about women because it was a clear picture of somebody who was invested in misogynistic ideals about cisgender women. Very clear. So she was like, because she started off with, "Ooh, I don't like the pick me of it all." Yes, clearly a pick me, but this was pretty normal if you think about it. Old heads, there was a norm because that misogyny just kind of how they thought about cisgender women, it just was pure. It just peeled out of them because there's an they still have that expectation of what I feel like a woman should be, and it shows up in how they talk about cisgender women, especially her in this particular moment. It was very much, oh, I don't like a girl with raggedy fingers. Oh, you need to be his piece. You need to all this kind of weird ass shit. That scene, a old patriarchal auntie. Yes, it was so weird and typical. Like it was toxic masculinity in a feminine entity. And this is when we talk about how you don't need to be a cisgender man to be misogynist. You can be a gay man and have these ideals. You can be a trans woman and have these ideals. You can be a drag queen and have these ideals, especially if you are saying that these women are less than these women if they have all of these traits that you think that you idolize. You either idolize or you think is the pinnacle of womanhood. Don't let your man see you sick. Don't have no makeup on. So kind of like a catty woman. Um, it's a little deeper. It's more rooted in misogyny than just being catty. Um, when I think of the definition of catty, it makes me think of just being messy. There's catty men, messy men. But I think Consuela was a madam, a brothel in LA, and a lot of her views probably came from there. Um, oh, I don't know about that part of her life. I don't remember that. Maybe, but that's still misogyny, though. Which makes it even more um, understandable. I can see how she could have, like you said, I can see how she can have those views because if you only see cis women as a commodity, if you're a madam, then of course how she's selling herself and how she looks is going to be the foundation of you how you value them. You're living in the box onto a trans experienced person and you got rules and casts for women. So many people, so many people have those kind of hypocritical ideologies. Cis men, cis women, those kind of hypocritical kind of mindsets, which are, it's easy to see it um, from the outside looking in, but to them, they think it's different. They think it makes sense. So I thought that conversation was quite interesting. Um, and then just the idea of her leaving, which I thought was, I, this is why it got really dark and sad towards the end. Because the idea of her leaving and preparing her life to leave New York and go back to LA so that she can, if she passes away, she can be, in the sun or whatever she was going to plan to do. Um, for her to not get on the fucking plane and have to go back to Hector's house because the plane was on delay, and then she had to go back to Hector's house and then dies that night. That was like, I was like, wow. And definitely seeing her, somebody mentioned it earlier, seeing her, yeah, definitely how Pepper LeBeja describes herself in Paris is Burning. Um, Um, seeing her deteriorate before our eyes. Um, the the dinner, her friends not showing the strange. It just was a strange situation. Remember when all those people were at her birthday party when she was doing the little show for her birthday party, and then when they were doing the benefit for her um, at the club, and then when she was doing the little Thanksgiving, nobody showed up, and that all it just got real sad and dark towards the end. It got really sad and dark, where I was like, "Oh, this is I don't know if I was ready for this." Well, I was watching, I was like, "Oh, I don't know." I thought it was it. The beginning. I was like, "Oh, this is a little raw," but towards the end, I was like, "Ooh, I don't think I was emotionally prepared for this." I should have been. I wish somebody warned me because this is a little dark, a little too dark. Yeah, I was like, "Ooh, mm, got a little dark." The crazy thing, not the crazy, that's the wrong language, but speaking on what you're talking about, LeBeau, um, Hector was positive himself. So imagine going through all of that, everybody talking about, you're gonna die in a couple of years. We don't have a da 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 da. And the trauma of thinking that, like the trauma of thinking you're gonna pass away, the trauma of finding out, the trauma of getting your results, finding out, and then seeing people die around you and losing people around you and da 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 da. Da. And this is in your younger years. This is in your teens, your 20s, da 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 da. Da. And then you'll live till you fucking 60 something. Hector lived for a long fucking time. He was positive for 30 plus years. After everybody tell you this is a death sentence, you dealing with all that comes with it, and it's like, woo, and you still live. You live long, 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 long. This is what I thought about with um Cicely Tyson. This ain't got nothing to do with like AIDS or HIV, but imagine being fucking 90 fucking 6. Everybody you know is dead. Like all your friends, all your people, your parents, your sisters, your brothers, your best friends. You probably outlived your second set of best friends. You 96, and everybody that you grew up around, that you knew that was important to your life in your younger life, they're gone because bitch, most of them didn't make it to 96, girl. 96. Most of them didn't, girl. So just being of that age, 96. I always thought about that with Cicely Tyson, because I was like, God, to get in the same thing with Betty White. It's like to get to a certain age, it's like, girl, everybody gone. Everybody I knew, like, of course, there's some young people still here, but everybody that came up, when I came up, they didn't kick the bucket. I don't know if I would want that. I don't know if I would want that. I don't know if I would want to. I don't know. I don't know if I would want that. I can't remember. Did Cicely? I think Cicely Tyson had children. I'm not, or maybe not. Did Cicely Tyson have children?
According to Hollywood Life, aside from being an award winning actress, Cicely Tyson was a proud mom to her daughter, Joan.
She had a daughter. Yep, she had a daughter. She read them friends. Said all they knew was a Pepsi and a slice of pizza for a Thanksgiving meal. Oh, I don't know. I think I don't know. I think it's how you I think it's how you grew up. I think well, I don't know. I don't want to say that. I grew up where even outside of like religious, like with Christmas and the religious shit, um, those times were the perfect time to kind of spend with your family. And so the gathering and the cooking of Thanksgiving and Christmas and maybe Fourth of July sometimes maybe um, Easter. It just was the time to be with your family. So that just was a tradition that I transferred over with my friends once I got older, and it just seemed like it was the norm. This is kind of just what you do, and so it transferring over to your friends was normal. So I don't remember a time that I didn't have a Thanksgiving or Christmas or unless I chose to be by myself, but where family gathering or friend gathering wasn't an option. We just my friend group wasn't like that. My friend group was, we gathering bitches. So we gather. We gather even when it's not holidays. So it's not really it wasn't a not a it wasn't a I don't know, I just can't see me being in that situation with my friend group. Yes, and we're gonna eat. So I don't know. I remember, gathering at my house when I was younger. I remember gathering at my house when I used to stay on Ashbury. Mm, we were on the north side gathering there. Um, gathering my house here, and then we switched it to Ty's house. And we've been doing it at Ty's house for years now. But it's always a gathering, child. It's always a gathering. And it's the core people, but and different, we all got circles of people. We all got our own circle of people, but when we come together, those people come. So I don't know. I just I'm glad I don't have that experience. Mm. But yes, I think it's a really raw. Another thing that me and raw documentary. Another thing that me and Ty talked about was the darkness of it reminded us of how different it is now. The desolate desperation of life as a trans person, as a queer person, particularly a trans person. This this documentary was a reflection of it, of the dark desperation, the desolate, ooh, it just the trauma of it all. And I don't remember living in a time where it was that dark for me. I was blessed in that regard. Blessed. There was a lot of things that my life, my friend group. We were talking about that. My friend group didn't. I never, ever, 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 ever felt pressure to do drugs. My friend group just wasn't. I don't know. I don't know if they dibbled and dabbled and played, but I didn't. My friend group wasn't like into drugs that I knew of. Someone might have played around, but just it being drug addiction, somebody having a drug addiction, I don't know. None of us that's like that. Um, mm, and the one that I did know, that happened before we was friends. The one I got closer with as I got older. Um, it just I never felt pressure to do drugs. I never felt I never felt like I was pressured to do anything that I didn't want to do. Not that that I didn't have my own mind and shit. I just didn't have but I'm just talking about all the things that could have gotten me caught up in certain things. I didn't have that. I was blessed in that way. Dudes, I didn't really get when I was younger, most of the dudes that I dated weren't from my city. My boyfriend in my 20s was from Miami. He wasn't from my city. Um, the boyfriend in my late 20s was from New Orleans, and he lived in Houston. He's one of the reasons why I end up in Houston. Um, yeah, I didn't really get caught up with the locals, which I'm glad because the fucking locals were trash. Ugh, 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 ugh. Didn't like that either. Um, yeah, I love this documentary. It made me feel nostalgic. It made me sad. It made me cry. It made me appreciate how far we have come as a community. How far we have come medically. How far we have come to accessibility to medication and not just like I'm talking about like hormones and stuff like that. Not just um, prep and stuff like that, but hormones, accessibility. Like I said, I remember doing certain things. I gag when I saw Amelia Black. I actually asked Amelia Black to be on the show, but I think it was like right when COVID was happening and just shit got weird, and I never kind of came back to re-ask her. It was like right in 2020, it got really weird with scheduling and what was going. We didn't know what was going on, so I just stopped thinking about it. But now that you reminded me, I'll double back. She said yes, so I just didn't re-ask her because I was so much going on. I watched Paris is Burning. How do I look? And The Queen with Crystal LeBeja right after. It was a huge experience for me. Good. Alexis Principal. It was girls in there. Definitely, definitely, definitely. But it just made me feel nostalgic and sad, and it was a roller coaster of emotions. But it's definitely good. I think the rawest. I think that documentary is more raw and real than um, Paris is Burning. Honestly, I guess Paris is Burning is just the more flashy, sparkly side of that time, whereas this was more like dark realities of life. Paris had a couple of glimpses of dark realities, but this was like raw and uncut, baby. But all right, what do y'all want to talk about? Have y'all seen all of the new Beyonce, her new trailer? So fire. Um, I think that's fire. I think Mirror Mirror was more behind the scenes of ballroom, outside of the runway and clubs. Mm. So make sure y'all check it out. If you are watching this after the fact, make sure you will watch it. It's really good. Great history lesson. Raw and uncut, literally. Yes. I love Meg Thee Stallion's new album. I haven't been able to listen. Does she have any good features or what's going on with it? I haven't been able to listen at all. I've been she looked gorgeous when they showed her singing in the blue gown with the flowers in her head. Megan or Beyonce? You know, Megan looked sickening on P Valley this past week. Tina Snow, baby, with that white lid and that white fur and them sparkles. She was beat on P Valley. I loved it. Mirror, mirror. She looked gorgeous with the when they showed her singing in the blue gown with the flower in her head. Oh, one of the little clips at the end of her doing the drag show. Yeah, she did. Mm. I just watched the Jamie Foxx new movie on Netflix, The Day Shift. It was funny. It was cute and funny. It's a vampire little action movie. It's really good. I liked it. A lot of female empowerment tracks. She has Lotto, Renee Icon, Future, ooh, Lucky Dave, Sauce Walker, a few others. Meg looked good on P Valley. Finally drove the boat down to the paint. Right. Is that Nancy Wilson or Lena Horne? Hmm? What was that song? Okay, I kept trying to find it. I don't know what it was. I'm glad to see Megan is branching into other things. I want her to be very successful. She got a Grammy, is it not? Very successful. She got hit albums and a Grammy. I think that's the. I think when you got a Grammy, it's the pinnacle of success in the sense of music. That's I'm sure it's other levels, but getting a Grammy is the it. What do you think about Kathy Hilton calling Lizzo precious? It gave semi-racist. Hmm. Fat phobia, racism from a white woman? A rich white woman? Yeah, I can see that. it wasn't. Uh, um, it wasn't a surprise to me. It was just like some things. I'm like, okay, yeah, uh, yeah. I just can't. Yeah, I just. Anytime I meet rich white people, I always think that they're fatphobic and racist. I know that's an assumption, but kind of what I expect. It's like meeting a black dude from that's Nation of Islam. I expect them to be homophobic and misogynistic. Like I haven't met many that aren't. So it's hard for me to be like, oh, you're gonna be different. Any racist. Well, I don't want it to be over. I was afraid that Tory Lane and the 151 situation might drain her. We fell in love with artists and they disappear. Hmm. I love seeing the wild in their natural habitat. Mm. It's not abnormal for them to be that way. Mm-mm. It is not. You see how tan this side of my arm is and how untan this side of my arm is. Look at this and look at that. It's like, because I've been walking in the sun, and so I'm giving you tan goddess, and under is giving pale Dracula. Didn't Paris Hilton have her own trouble saying anywhere the apple doesn't rot too far from the tree? I don't really follow Paris. I never really got into like that whole Paris popularity wave, like the Simple Life and Nicole Richie. White girls do not entertain me. They like I have never sat down and watched like Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Like they just do not entertain me. The reality TV white girls, child, no. Like I'll watch out white shows, like scripted shows, yes, but reality TV, they be so whack to me. No, I can't at all. Trying to think, have I ever seen a white reality TV show that I really liked? No, Not with just some white girls. No. But also, is Gabourey Sidibe gonna be precious for life? Um, I think when you, and this is just me being a realist, I think when you come to fame and you come to fame as something that is so, um, I don't know what the word is, like what's the word? Like Tyrion, like he's gonna Tyrion gonna always be Tyrion. Like he comes to fame as this entity, and she came to fame as this entity. You see what I'm saying? Not marginalized, but like your aesthetic is so one thing, and it's rooted in your aesthetic. Like Precious was rooted in her being a big, dark skinned, obese girl. And so I feel like she's gonna have to do something drastic to get off and under that. The lady from Friday is still called Felicia to this day. You got to do other something else groundbreaking. Yeah, you add the iconic role. Yeah, good stuff. But even that, like, I feel like if they do something, you got to do something just as culturally heavy. Because all of those are like black famous people. Like when you think about Felicia and think about Ronnie, those are like black famous people. I think Precious had a wider audience than Players Club and Friday. Wider and wider. But I think she can. I think she could come out from under it if she does something else. I heard Gabourey Sidibe was a bitch. Like in person. I heard she was like not pleasant. Gabby has been on she was on, of course, Coven. She was on you remember she was on what's the one with Cookie Lion? What was that one called? Empire. Yeah, she was on Empire. But has she been on any movies? She's been on movies, but little small roles that I've seen her in. I've recently seen her in something else. I can't remember the name, but I've seen her in small roles on movies. But like a big role. But that's what I mean. Like, I think it's that thing. Tower Heist, maybe. I can't remember. She was on something. But it's that thing. It's like when I think about it when I think of the trans girls from Pose. When I think of when I think about the trans girls from Pose, particularly Dominique, um, um, when I think of Peter Dinklage, when I think of y'all remember, this is kind of going a little bit far back, but y'all remember in not Ally McBeal, but she was on Ally McBeal, but then another show, I think maybe Grey's Anatomy or maybe ER. There was a woman, she wore glasses and she was deaf, and for a little bit of time she was getting little roles as a deaf character. She had like brown hair and she wore glasses and she was deaf, and she would get roles. Like it was a span of time where she was in a bunch of stuff. And in that moment, people were like, "Ooh, one the one that was on Apprentice." I don't watch Apprentice. Um, have you seen the 30-minute documentary on here called "I Don't Want to Be"? Oh boy, no. Um, but she it's something about being that novelty. That is the word. That is the word I wanted. It's a way that if you are a novelty, you'll have, especially if you are in a role that features your novelty as the main point of the character. No matter how good you are, that novelty, it gets to a point where what is next for you, because most people are not writing things unless they are purposely, intentionally trying to go and do this. Um, but most people, writers, they're not writing with somebody like Gabourey Sidibe in mind, a midget like Peter Dinklage in mind, a trans person in mind. So when you are these novelty things, it's not saying that there won't be other opportunities, but for me, I get scared to think that opportunities are going to run out, especially especially now that you got so many trans actresses trying to be actresses. You get what I'm saying? You got multiple of the. It used to be, you know, Laverne. That's why for a long time she was getting all the roles. But now you have Laverne, um, uh, Angelica, uh, Michaela, India Moore, Dominique, Haley Sahar, all of them trying out for these roles. How many trans roles is it going to be? It's not going to be a lot. So, do we have enough work for all these girls to do? Are they creating enough roles for all these girls to be successful in their acting career? Um, because you got Trace. I forgot about Trace. Trace is an actress. Um, certain what that her last name is Billings. Um, Jen Smart. There's a couple of now it's T.S. Madison. T.S. Madison, she kind of creating her own little lane. I don't know if she's doing acting roles. I know she did Zola, but I'm talking about like actually pursuing acting. I don't know if she's actually doing that. But now you got fucking amazing because she's a great actress. Hunter Schafer. Like it's so many trans girls out here. How many trans roses out here for them to actually can they all thrive in that? I don't know. It's like, mm-hmm. I haven't seen Bros yet, but it's like, ugh, I don't know. And maybe I'm just being a pessimist. Do they ever cast trans women in cisgender roles? Yeah, and it start getting weird because motherfuckers, because people are like, because all the trans people is like, do not cast cisgender people in trans roles. But then it's kind of weird if you want them to cast you in cisgender roles. It's kind of like, that gets kind of weird to me. Tyler Perry was complaining that no actors wanted to be in his movies. I think his movies fell off, but he didn't have quality actors. Angela Bassett and Idris in the early 2000s. We did. Well, first of all, Tyler needs to stop trying to write all his stuff. You need to hire writers. That worked for your plays, honey. But when you get up to a certain level, hire a team of writers so you can get that so you can write better roles. Cause the way he did my girl, Felicia Rashad, that fucking film could have been amazing. And he ruined it. Tyler's his own downfall and worst enemy. Tyler got to step his cookies at home. You can't hire Earl and Denzel and have the costume department sponsored Party City. I know that's right. Cutting corners on the hair. Oh, so crazy. I think he should hire more writers. That's first of all, because I think his fucking shows be boring. I'm sorry, they be whack. There's no growth. There's no. It don't feel like he's getting better. They were cute for his starting off movies, but okay, you got this big ass fucking studio that you invested in and created. Yo, like invest. You should have a whole fucking writing team. You keep telling the same stories with all these badly drawn characters. Yes, girl. A self-hating homophobe, a self-hating homosexual, not homophobe, self-hating homosexual that hates um, female stereotypes. Danny Glover, not Danny Glover. What is his name? Childish Gambino real name? Is it Danny Glover? Glover? What's his name? The dude. ATL. Donald Glover. Yes, like him. So, I don't feel it. I don't feel it. I don't feel it. Feel it. Feel it. Feel it. Feel it. Keep telling the same story. Mm-mm. Well, and honey, bad black mothers. What is? How many times is it gonna be a bad black mother? Um, all that foolishness. What Tyler Perry movie did Angela Bassett play in? Which one of his films did she play in? I can't remember. I remember the three little girls and Idris. Which was the one with Angela? Meet the Browns. Oh, that's the one I didn't see. I forgot about that. I didn't see Meet the Browns. What role did she play? Was she one of the Browns? The mother? Mm. Yeah, I didn't see Meet the Browns. But yeah, he needs better writers. Yeah, I always worry about the girls. I want the girls to get their roles. I want better writing. I want better characters played. And I want people to be more creative about when they can come in because you can put a trans person in a role that don't have anything to do with gender. Like you can put them like Maya Rudolph has Michaela um Michaela Rodriguez in her new movie. And I don't think transness has anything to do with the character. And so it's if the person is just a character, I think there's certain roles that I think when you are casting that you should consider. Um, you can consider a trans person playing it when it doesn't have anything to do with sexuality, when it doesn't have anything to do with. I think a person could be a trans character, a trans actress, but the character don't have anything to do with being trans or not. Like you don't matter gender or trans. You can just have them playing that character. I can't wait to see Haley Sahar, so beautiful as Lady Java. Yes, I'm excited about that too. Who is producing that? No, y'all know what I'm tired of. I am tired of Whitney Houston biopics. I'm tired of that. How many biopics of Whitney Houston do we need? We don't need as many as it's being made. There's another Whitney Houston biopic coming out, and it's over. Anthony Hemingway, interesting. I'm excited about Woman King. Lifetime Wears Us Thin. Oh, child. I think the only one they did good, and it wasn't that great. It was okay. Was Clark Sisters. But I mean, could you mess it up? It's hard to mess that up when you have Anjanou, and those singing heifers that was playing them. Hard to mess it up. But yeah, no more. There's just so many different stories that we haven't told yet. There's so many stories that we haven't told. Why are we telling the same stories, man? Put some money behind something else. That's why I'm excited about Woman King. We haven't seen that. The Winnie one was all right. I didn't like that actress. I just want different stories, child. Oh, have y'all watched Sandman on Netflix? Mm, mm. Sandman is so good. I love creative, new ideas. That's what I want. Something new. I hate remakes. I'm tired of saying. I'm tired of remakes. I'm tired of biopics. But Sandman is so good. I love it. I loved it. I love Sandman. I've been Sandman. I tried to stretch it out, but it was hard. But anyway, y'all, let me close on out so I can take my ass to sleep so I can go to the gym in the morning. Because I go to the gym super early in the morning. Yes, watch Sandman is so good. So yes, thumbs up if you haven't thumbs up, make sure you thumbs up. If you have not checked out Mirror Mirror from a documentary from 1996, starring Consuela Cosmetica, rest in peace. Check it out. It is so good. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, it was nostalgic, it was raw, it was dark, it was honest and raw. Loved it. Before you go, try Yellow Jackets. You love it. I started watching Yellow Jackets um, on Showtime. Yeah, I started watching it, and I liked the first episode, first and second episode, but I never went back to it. So I got to finish it. But I started it, but I didn't finish it, and I liked it. I like Christina Ricci in anything. I love Christina Ricci. She's one of my favorite actresses, and she doesn't work enough. I want her to be in something fucking dope. She's such a great actress. Um, but yeah, I will see y'all next Friday. If you are in San Francisco or in the San Francisco area, I will be hosting the Riot Party. It'll be me, T.S. Madison. So y'all know we gonna turn up. Y'all remember how we did with the Winter Gala. It'll be me, T.S. Madison, and I think a white trans man. I can't remember his name. But we will be in San Francisco um, hosting the Riot Party at this amazing fire ass bank. They are renting the whole thing out. It's Hypernia. I think it's called Hypernia Bank. But if you are in San Francisco, go to Marsha's Plate. Um, Instagram, and really go to the Transgender District's Instagram, and they have a link in their bio for you to buy tickets. It is going to be worth it. We are going to turn up. So make sure you come holler at us if you are in the San Francisco area. It is going to be at the end of August. So if you are close, you actually have enough time to plan to come see your girl. Let me see. What's the dates? So I can read it. It is August 28th. Doors open at 5 p.m. and the event ends at 9. Rank 1 Jones Street, San Francisco. Tickets available at riotpartysf.com. So yes, we're gonna turn up. We're gonna have a blast. We're gonna be fly. We're gonna be fly. It's gonna be tons of music. It's gonna be tons of artists. Trace Lissette is gonna be there. Never Ending Nina is gonna be there. Tons of influencers. Let me see. See other artists that's going to be there. DJ Dreams is performing. Um, Per Dan is performing. Ease, Nomi, Rios is performing. Who else is? Quay Dash. Who else? Who else would be? Who else? Dominique Morgan, of course. And a couple of other people. S2, I love her. She's fire. Raquel Willis will be there. Jasmine Infinity will be there. Yeah, it's just gonna be tons of trans icons coming together to celebrate the anniversary of the Compton Cafeteria riots. So come check us out. All right, y'all. I will see y'all next week.